So did you all have a chance to listen to Psycho-Cybernetics? This was part of the material before the class. Yes, I see Alyssa nodding. No, Jocelyn. Okay, and no, not touch a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna so how we make change, right? So to move to continue on with homeostasis, how we make change is it really starts in our brain, right? It really starts with us telling ourselves, right, that these changes are possible, that we are worthy, that, and creating these new neural pathways in our brain. Because if we just go for the external changes first, they're not going to be sustainable because of homeostasis, because of this built-in mechanism that we have to want to stay in our comfort zones. So let me stop here and just check for our understanding. What did you all just hear me say? Jocelyn, me calling you.
Well, what I wrote down is that we have a mechanism to want to stay comfortable. And one of the keys to coaching is being able to understand what the client's going to do to self-sabotage themselves from getting out of their comfort zone, and identifying, okay, what is it that this person does right before they sabotage themselves to before being able to change.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jocelyn. How about you, Alyssa? What did you understand from what I just shared?
It's almost a mindset shift, and us. I'm just thinking a little like past Jocelyn's point, which is really like articulately put, and like how are we then able to understand like their unconscious mind and being able to create strategies so that they can move past those stress points to an area where they're able to like grow.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Magalis, what was your understanding of what I just shared? Magalis, you're muted.
Do you hear me? Okay.
Now I can hear you. Yep.
Yes. What I'm thinking is like internally at some point we have to make the decision when we want to bring real change, because it's like sometimes we realize that just in the comfort zone is fine because we don't have nothing to do, but internally we don't feel well, and we really have this kind of internal desire for real change. But if we don't realize that at some point we have to start working on those desires, it never happened. You know what I mean? So that's what I understand.
That's what you got from it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I just want to add to that, right? That although we have the desire to change, right? And other people have a desire to change, there is a built-in mechanism within us as human beings that wants to keep us comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And that sometimes it's not because we're lazy, or it's not because of, we don't have determination, but it's just human nature to want to stay the same because that feels comfortable to us. That's a built-in survival mechanism that we have inside of us called homeostasis. And so understanding that, because we have this built-in mechanism, there's going to be things that change is hard. Change is hard, right? And so once we understand that change is hard, and that when we're about to make big changes, we will most likely do something to keep ourselves back. Once we identify that, we can do something, we can put strategies in place to allow us to move forward with ease and actually work through the resistance. Natasha, what was your understanding?
The thing that stuck out to me was if you only make changes to the external, the change isn't gonna remain. And so having to do the internal work, if you want sustainable change, you have to do the internal work. That was what was like most poignant to me, particularly in this day and age where we are, like, everything's accessible. You know, write something, you can get it surgically changed, whatever the case is. But it's like, if you don't deal with the desire, what is causing you to desire the change on the inside, it's not going to stick.
Right. So that's right. That's where the book takes us, right? The psycho-cybernetics. So let me go back to sharing my screen. Thank you for sharing that, Natasha. Right. So Dr. Maxwell Maltz, he's a plastic surgeon, and he wrote this book because he noticed that he was making physical changes in people as a surgeon, but sometimes people wouldn't see a difference in their physical appearance, or it wouldn't really increase their self-esteem because they hadn't done the inner work to be able to really see those changes or to feel better about themselves, which was the original motivation for wanting to get the plastic surgery. And so this is again why coaching is so important, and it's such a great profession, because it really helps people to mirror their thinking and see, well, why am I thinking this way? You know, why have I been thinking this way for so long, and limiting my creations, and to really help them change their mind on their own, so that they can build better iterations of the things that they want. Right? It's like you can win $1 million in the lottery, but if you don't have $1 million mindset to sustain it, most likely you're gonna spend the money and not use it for good. So the other piece to this, right, is that the way that human beings change, right, it's like you have a desire in your heart that tells your brain, that's giving your brain certain thoughts, and your mind, those thoughts then trigger your actions, right, for you to do certain things. So conscious versus subconscious mind theory says that there is the mind doesn't know the difference between what it imagines and what is real. And so this is why we're going to use the vision statement in order to help the mind see a new version of ourselves, to see the vision of what we want. And so in this piece, we do this exercise that we call the lemon drops. So I want to do that exercise, and then I want to show you a video to drive this point home. So if you could, for a moment, just close your eyes for a second. And I want you to imagine that you are holding a bright yellow lemon on your right hand. You can feel the texture of the lemon. You can squeeze it because you're going to take all the juices out of it. And with your other hand, you're going to put the lemon down, and then you're going to cut the lemon right through the middle. You're going to see all the juices coming out. Then you're going to take the lemon, you're going to open your mouth, and you're going to squeeze the lemon in your mouth. And so I want you to taste, the sourness of it. Is it cool? Is it warm? Like, how is it? And so you can go ahead and open your eyes. And what I want to know is if you actually started salivating when you started to imagine. right? And so what this shows us, right, is that if you change the images in your mind and what you're telling yourself in your mind, you will have natural physical reactions to what's in your mind. So, and that happens with everything, right? It's like every thought is firing a message to your body. Positive messages, negative messages, right? And so how do we take this to the level of wanting to drive change? If you keep telling yourself, I'm wonderful, I am wonderful, I am wonderful, you're sending messages to your entire body, right, that express the fact that you are wonderful. And you keep doing this long enough, at first you may not believe it, but then you will. And you start to take actions that say, I am wonderful, so I work out. I am wonderful, so I ask for a raise. I am wonderful, so I work in places that deserve me, that are aligned with my values, that I ask for what I want. So that's just one small way of showing how the brain triggers physical reactions. Without you didn't actually have the lemon. It was just all in your mind. So let me, I want to show you a video to take this point home. And I also want you to just kind of keep in mind the name of this gentleman, Bruce Lipton. He has many books, and he's a great resource kind of in this science of change. So let me stop my screen for a moment, and I'm going to open up the video.
What if your personal training clients were excited to pay you?
Let me share my screen. Okay. You can all see this? So I saw a lot of head nods. So questions, comments from the video.
So he mentioned this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in the book, the gentleman who wrote it says, rich people get richer and poor people have more kids. And he talks about like the level of consciousness, and even working in my school, I try to talk to my kids about like a poverty mindset almost, and being able to shift. And they say, you do anything for 21 days, it starts to become a pattern, and like you can adopt those things for yourself. So even the fake it till you make it, like making affirmations that don't necessarily have to do with your current being, but what you want and see for yourself. So everything he just said resonated with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It fills me with a lot of hope, actually, when I, every time I hear it, every time I teach this, that, yeah, we've all been programmed and we can reprogram. It takes work. It's one of the hardest things we can do, but it works. Natasha. Thank you, Alyssa.
I could put it in the chat. I understand the base of that, but it's really hard to tell somebody who is starving to think positive. And so as a coach, one of my goals is to find balance between where we're going and where we are. Mm-hmm. I think it's super easy if you're in a position to tell somebody to do this, that, and a third. But when you are constantly fighting against systems that are automatic now, we have to find the balance, particularly as women of color, have to find that balance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not saying, Natasha, I 100% agree with you. And I'm not saying that coaching is the answer to everything. Absolutely not. Trust and believe I know about the systems that be, right? But one of the ways, this is one of many ways, right? If there's a person that is hungry, that is starving, they most likely will not look for a coach. Quite honestly, they're going to look for food, right? Because it's like their first, right? You have to fulfill the first levels of need, right? When a person is like open for coaching and they're coming to us for coaching, is because most likely they have fulfilled their initial survival needs, and now they're looking for the next level. So trust me, I get that. You know, and part of the equity work that I do, you know, is volunteering my time, you know, to those organizations that and people that wouldn't normally have access to this information. But sometimes just even knowing that this is an option, like just even somebody knowing that, wow, like I can set goals for myself, like and actually go for it, can really take them out of that situation where they're just hungry, right? Or like they don't even know that there's a system. They just in it. Um so I'm not, you know, I totally hear what you're saying, right? But there's levels to the human experience. Um and so for us, right, it's like finding that balance of like how do we serve at the top and the bottom, right? How do we, like Oswald, how do we lift as we climb while taking care of ourselves? Yeah, it's a complete balance, absolutely. Um Magales, Jocelyn, do you have any thoughts that you wish to share before we go on break about the video? No?
I was just thinking about the affirmations and how powerful they are. You know, you read about affirmations all the time, but like that's the only thing that got me through like labor, for example, was me completely talking to myself to get through that because it was really difficult. So I think that, you know, I've been hearing about and reading about affirmations for so long, and when I actually applied it, it was like the only thing that was going to get me through that experience. So I have a new appreciation for affirmations for sure.
You saw it working in your life in your most vulnerable time, huh? Yeah, yeah. Magalis, is there anything you wish to share before we go on break? If you're speaking, I can't hear you.
I said, like, we had to, I'm thinking something similar to what she already said, that we had to think about. At some point, we had to make decision, no? Because it's like you have been working very hard for everybody, and you never realize that you are like a human being, that you really need to rebuild yourself. Because if I don't do it, I won't be able to keep doing the job that I'm doing right now because I'm aging. You know what I mean? I have so many things that I really want to do. But just by watching the video, I realized that that is real, that is true. But it's like we never thinking about that. We just keep doing and doing, and we never do any reflection, something that can put us in the right direction to do internal change. So it's very powerful, yes.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Magalis. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, I want to kind of reference what you said back to what Natasha said, that, you know, sometimes we're just so wrapped up. A person can just be so wrapped up in where they are that they don't even know that they're wrapped up in a system. And so, you know, I love this idea of being able to awaken people to the fact that we are part of a system, and we once we wake up to the fact that we're in the system, and we can take some active action to be creative instead of just be another machine, you know, in the system, and that we have been programmed. Um, and the system doesn't want us to know that we've been programmed. So Yeah, it gives me a lot of hope.